Hello, I'm Jeffrey Goldberg, founding partner of Friedman Fitch Associates, and I'm the first to admit I love marijuana. And you should too. Marijuana has quite literally changed my life, and now I'm on a mission to help ordinary folk like you become what People magazine called marijuana millionaires. I made my fortune originally as a venture capitalist during the dot-com boom of the 90s and was living the good life. All that was to change. A few years later, I was recovering from cancer and addicted to prescription pain medication. That was when someone recommended marijuana. I was sceptical, but gave it a go and was amazed at the change to my life. I was soon able to kick the painkillers altogether and started getting my life back together. However, that wasn't the only change. My natural curiosity and experience in the markets made me start investigating the growing marijuana industry. The potential I saw truly amazed me. And now that potential is being realised, because finally we have the end of prohibition, marijuana's prohibition. Already 28 states have legalised medical marijuana, 16 states have decriminalised it, and 8 states plus the District of Columbia have made both recreational and medical use completely legal. So the train has left the station, there's no stopping it. The end of marijuana's prohibition is a foregone conclusion, and the money in play is becoming ridiculous. Last year alone, legal marijuana created $6.7 billion of new wealth. By 2020, it is expected to hit a $35 billion a year industry. And that's not just some hype figures, that is direct from Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. In fact, experts believe that it could even reach $200 billion each and every year. Nearly every news organisation, from the National Geographic to the New York Times and USA Today, is coming to the same conclusion. This is becoming a modern-day gold rush. Actually, that's a bit of an understatement, because the amount of marijuana sold each year could soon become 5 times more valuable than the amount of all the gold that's mined. Ironically, even the gold miners see this. Take South American Gold Corp. It operates mines all over the world, including Arizona, Montana and Washington. Back in May, South American Gold Corp announced it was going to use some of its properties to grow marijuana. Not surprisingly, its stock shot up by 1,829% in a month. Seagrowth Capital did even better. Despite their name, they actually own gold mines in the western United States. But that's not why their stock shot up 3,429% in 2016. That massive surge coincided with an announcement in April that they were expanding into marijuana. And there's a really important lesson to be learnt from South American Gold Corp and Seagrowth Capital. It's one that can make you rich. To state your claim to this historic cash grab, you don't have to operate a dispensary selling retail marijuana or become a farmer that plants the pot. You could become the next marijuana millionaire from the stock market. And as I'm about to show you, there's an absolutely undeniable connection between states passing marijuana legislation and small pot stocks surging in value. So I just told you how last May, South American Gold Corp stock shot up by 1,829% in just 1 month. Do you know what else happened in May? Ohio lawmakers passed House Bill 523 with a resounding 71 to 26 vote. And just like that, the Buckeye State was on its way to becoming the 25th state to legalise medical marijuana. Also in May, Favor Group, a company that sells vaporizers and electronic cigarette devices, began a 5-month run that would see its shares increase by 1,550%. And, during that same window, the Global Hemp Group jumped 1,100%. Now go back a little further to last April. I told you about Seagrowth Capital kicking off its 3,429% run. Do you know what happened a couple of weeks prior to that? Pennsylvania's House of Representatives voted to legalise medical marijuana. The legislation didn't just squeak through either. It passed 149 to 46, setting off cheers in the chamber. But from the looks of it, Seagrowth Capital wasn't the only marijuana stock to benefit from it. Consider the Digital Development Group. They offer internet subscriptions for independently produced content. They even have an exclusive streaming agreement with Amazon. Digital Development Group made a very smart gamble. It launched MJ360 TV. The channel catered for those who have a fondness for weed. The Digital Development Group is a tiny company. On February the 26th, its stock was trading well below a penny. It was so cheap you could probably have bought 50,000 shares for the price of an OK cup of coffee at a truck stop. But by March 11th, about 2 weeks later, its stock shot up 1,500%, right in line with Pennsylvania's legislation. Throughout 2016, at least 20 marijuana stocks surged by over 1,000%. Look at OWC Pharmaceutical Research Corp. They're developing marijuana-based treatments for PTSD and migraines. Between September and October, this stock exploded by 5,305%. Signal Bay provides marijuana startups with market research and the expertise they need to acquire their growing licenses. Between July 13th and September the 12th, its stock rose by 7,367%. That's like watching $500 turn into $37,333 in just 2 months. And this is really important to understand. These massive runs all happened before the November elections. November the 8th was a record-breaking and prohibition-busting day for marijuana. On this single day, 4 states gave the green light for recreational marijuana sales. Massachusetts, passing question 4, could become a $1.1 billion windfall. Maine, approving question 1, could bring in $107 million. And now that Nevada have passed question 2, they could be in line for a $1.1 billion war chest. But last but not least, California and Proposition 64. Many see this as the knockout blow to pot's prohibition. The Golden State's marijuana industry is now expected to grow to $6.46 billion by the year 2020. But these were just the states that passed recreational laws. In Arkansas, North Dakota, Montana and Florida, voters said yes to medical marijuana. And just in Florida, that could be worth as much as $5.6 billion a year in revenue. And it's worth stressing this point again. For those 20 marijuana stocks that surged over 1,000% in 2016, those runs all happened before the November elections. I predict these new laws are going to unleash a pot stock boom in 2017 that will blow the doors off anything we have seen to this point. And that is really saying something, because this is an industry that has created some astounding windfalls. Take Vape Holdings. Its CEO is a former US naval officer with a master's degree in nuclear engineering. But today, he's in the weed business, selling vaporizer technology. Back in 2014, when a small group of states passed marijuana legislation, Vape Holdings stock shot up from 40 cents a share to $35.50 over the course of about 4 months. That's an 8,875% increase. Now look at Mountain High Acquisitions Corp. It was founded by a man who spent the previous 35 years of his life as an accountant, then decided to launch his marijuana company that focuses on nutraceutical products, and it was a smart move, because his stock that was once trading for just 10 cents a share has risen as high as $14. Investors who timed that just right would have enjoyed a 13,900% windfall. A $500 flyer on Mountain High Acquisitions could have put $70,000 in your pocket. Now, here's the big picture. During this run of states taking a sledgehammer to pot's prohibition, no fewer than 64 marijuana stocks have shot up over 1,000%. 11 of them have surged past 10,000%. 5 have exploded past 25,000%. 3 have soared over 50,000%, and 1 has even surpassed 130,000% in gains. Now most, but not all, marijuana stocks are also penny stocks. And I don't have to tell you this, but penny stocks are riskier and more volatile than your run-of-the-mill blue chips. But by putting a modest investment into just a few of these next-generation weed companies, you could make more money from the stock market than you have ever seen before in your life. That's a truly exceptional situation, one nearly impossible for any investor to anticipate. But frankly, only a tiny fraction of gains like that could change your life. So are you starting to see why someone like me, who has spent his entire career rising to the top of Silicon Valley, is now declaring his love for marijuana? Look at what's on your screen. 64 pot stocks have shot up over 1,000%. No other market has shown such an uncanny ability to deliver these kinds of gains. So I'd have to be crazy not to love marijuana. This is the next big thing. And if you are interested in discovering which pot stocks could be the next to cross the 1000% milestone, just subscribe now and begin receiving marijuana stock news, articles, trade alerts and more, all 100% free. But first, let me prove to you how predictable this pattern is. Let's go back to 2015, the year that Georgia and Texas legalized medical marijuana and Delaware decriminalized it. This same year, the stock of Rocky Mountain High, a company that sells a range of hemp-infused energy drinks, surged 3,157% in a little over 2 months. Now go back to 2014. Minnesota and New York passed legislation legalizing medical marijuana. Alaska and Oregon gave a big thumbs up to recreational marijuana use, and Maryland decriminalized cannabis. This was an enormous year for marijuana stocks. Take zoned properties. They build sustainable facilities for medical marijuana growers. Care to guess how much the stock of zoned properties rose over a period a little over 3.5 months? 11,781%. Pretty good, right? Not as good as United Cannabis Corporation, a grower of genetically refined strains of medical grade cannabis plants. In early February, it was trading for about 6 cents a share. By early April, $10.50. So this stock shot up 16,700% over the course of 2 months. I'll repeat that. United Cannabis Corporation, 16,700% in only 2 months. But if you were willing to wait an extra month for your payday, you could have made twice that return with Green Cure's botanical distribution. It creates hemp-infused nutritional supplements for sports recovery and body care. At the beginning of 2014, this stock was trading for barely a penny. By the beginning of April, it had exploded to $5.92 a share. The stock of Green Cure's botanical distribution shot up 36,412% in about 3 months. And that's still not the 2014's top marijuana stock. Supreme Pharmaceuticals was. It operates from a small facility outside of Ontario, Canada, growing cannabis for medical purposes. During July of 2013, shares were priced so far under a penny you would have needed the Hubble Space Telescope to have seen them. By May of 2014, Supreme Pharmaceuticals stock had rocketed up 58,767%. Of course, those are the headliners from the year, but there were plenty of other conservative weed windfalls that were there for the taking as well, like international consolidated companies. It's in the marijuana logistics business. This stock jumped 5,025% between April and September. And Pot Network brands itself as your one-stop spot for what's going on in the marijuana industry for the latest news, food and fashion. Between January 31st and March 24th of 2014, its stock rose from 19 cents a share to $14.38. That's a 7,567% payday. Now you might be saying, Jeffrey, these are exceptional situations, rare opportunities. To that, I say yes, they are. They seem to just pop up around the time new legislation is passed. You can obviously tell I'm very excited about what's ahead for the marijuana industry. But I also prefer straight talk. We all know that nothing in the stock market is guaranteed, and anyone who tells you that they have a crystal ball and with absolute certainty can promise future gains is not someone you want to be doing business with. I, on the other hand, am a very analytical person by nature. I look for hard evidence and concrete historical patterns. And that's exactly why I'm all in on marijuana, because there's a lot to learn from recent history. Let's jump back to 2012. That was the year that Massachusetts legalized medical marijuana. But that wasn't the big story. Washington State and Colorado legalized recreational use of marijuana. With Colorado, it took a couple of years for the first dispensaries to open. Now it's a $1 billion industry in the state. So let's look at Cannabis Sativa, a marketer of herbal skincare products. In March of 2012, Cannabis Sativa was trading for 25 cents a share, A little over 2 years later, it peaked at $13.72. That's a 5,388% rise. 2012 would also mark the starting point of the biggest stock windfall I've ever seen. Praetorian Property buys up distressed real estate in less than desirable areas. It then rehabs these lots so that they can be sold or leased to marijuana growers in states where weed has been legalized. Between June of 2012 and March of 2014, Praetorian Property's price rose 135,614%. Let's put that in perspective. Over the last 25 years, the share price of electronic retailer Best Buy's rocketed by 28,703%. Computer software maker Microsoft rose by 29,266%. Computer hardware heavyweight Cisco Systems soared by 33,632%. Insurance juggernaut United Health Group 33,672%. Money management firm Eaton Vance by 38,444%. Industrial tools manufacturer Danaher rose by 47,913%. And mutual fund manager Franklin Resources jumped by 64,224%. It took Praetorian Properties just 2 years to put them all to shame. It was a potential 135,614%. If you had invested just $500 in this weed stock, it could have made you $678,571 richer. A $1,000 stake could have transformed into a nearly incomprehensible $1,357,143. I think the pattern I've shown you is pretty clear. Every time a state passes a new law, it delivers a massive blow to the prohibition of marijuana. It creates new business opportunities and rapid growth for the top players across the country. And over the years, a handful of states enacting new marijuana laws here and a handful of states there have helped propel 64 weed stocks past 1,000% gains. 20 of them hit this mark in 2016 alone. 11 of these stocks soared past 10,000%, 5 past 25,000%, and 3 past 50,000%, and 1 has surged past 135,000%. And this all happened before the November election. Imagine what's in store for the market now. This is no longer Wall Street's wild, wild west. The market has matured. During a recent $130 million spending spree, Scott's Miracle-Gro acquired General Hydroponics, whose equipment is used to cultivate marijuana. Microsoft has announced it will begin selling software that tracks marijuana plants from seed to sale. Walmart and Kroger have gone into business with marijuana heavyweight TerraTech. Shoppers can now walk down the aisles and choose from their legally grown crop through Edible Garden. Walgreens is a $103 billion pharmacy chain. It operates over 8,200 branches in all 50 states, and in an impossible-to-ignore sign, Walgreens has begun sharing the potential medical benefits of marijuana on its website. The prohibition of pot is coming to an end, and if you want to join the ranks of marijuana millionaires, subscribe now for the latest marijuana stock news, articles and trade alerts, absolutely free. As I mentioned, I have spent over 3 decades in Silicon Valley as a board member of a venture capital firm and a senior advisor to high-tech startup companies. For the last 8 months, my team and I have dedicated thousands of man-hours and over $250,000 towards the most exhaustive analysis of the marijuana industry to date. I've met with the leading growers, dispensaries, the angel investors. I've vetted the next generation of weed stocks that are poised to make investors rich. And I'm now sharing that knowledge and expertise with anyone who subscribes. If you want to change your life, subscribe now.